The views or opinions expressed on Ann Arbor Inclusive do not necessarily reflect the views or opinions of the City of Ann Arbor and the Commission on Disability Issues. For more information about the Ann Arbor Commission on Disability Issues, please visit a2gov.org/disability resources.
Hello and welcome to Ann Arbor Inclusive. I'm your host, Tom Hoatland. Did you know that 1 in 68 children in the United States have autism spectrum disorder? That translates to more than 16,000 children in Michigan public schools. Did you know that autism is the fastest growing developmental disability in the U.S.? Today, we will discuss autism and how it affects people's lives. To do this, we are fortunate to talk with an expert from the Autism Alliance of Michigan. The Alliance works tirelessly to raise expectations and expand opportunities for people touched by autism across their lifespan. Today, we will focus on better understanding autism, how it affects the lives of individuals and their families, and how to access valuable information and resources. Please welcome Kara Lay, a Navigator specialist from the Autism Alliance of Michigan. Kara, welcome to Ann Arbor Inclusive.
Thank you so much for having me.
For sure. So, in your words, what is the Autism Alliance of Michigan?
So we're a statewide nonprofit. We provide information, training, advocacy, and resources to individuals and family members affected by autism across the state. We strive to support the entire spectrum and entire lifespan.
Okay. And all ages?
Yes, absolutely. From birth to end of life, we can support any of the concerns.
Okay, and are you guys unique to Michigan?
Yes, so we are a Michigan program. I do not believe there's any other programs out there in other states similar to us. We've seen that when individuals from out of state or even out of the country have called us from Google, they find our information.
Yeah, and they say that you're in sharp contrast with someone they've been working with?
Well, we only have specialized information on Michigan services. So if they are calling us from outside of the state, it is a little bit more challenging to support them. Yeah. But if they're moving into Michigan, we can help create a plan for them on whatever identified city that they might be going to.
Great, great. Yeah. So Kara, we often hear the word Navigator, the title of Navigator. Can you explain to us what a Navigator does for the Autism Alliance of Michigan?
Sure. So our My Navigator program, it's been operating for about 6 years now, where families or individuals can call or write us free of charge, and they are then assigned their Navigator for life. And we can help work through any of their questions or concerns. So maybe it may be a family at the beginning stages wanting to know some places to go for their child for an autism evaluation. Okay. Or it could be an adult themselves contacting us looking for some social programming and wanting to know about what some resources are available to them in their region. So we have a database of over 1,500 resources in the state of Michigan that we can zone in on their region and their insurance coverage and help give them some resources that would be suitable for them. And the purpose for having a Navigator for life is so that parents very often are calling so many programs and agencies and feeling like they're having to reshare their story a million times. Mm-hmm. So if they have their Navigator for life, they just call them and explain the story once. And if they have an issue, we work with them until it's resolved, similar to case management.
Yeah, so or a social worker.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, I am a licensed social worker, but we can...
That definitely helps.
Yeah, so we all have different backgrounds as navigators, and so we can help work through their questions or concerns, get them the accurate information, and also provide them a listening ear. So, and if they have one issue that's resolved, and then a year later they can contact us again. Maybe their child is now aging into a different program, and we can help get them some more current information. In our Navigator team, we do have specialized navigators as well. So if the case is more complex or we need to refer into our specialized staff, we have navigators in the areas of insurance, education, community resources, and clinical. So we can work together as a team and provide them on the right plan of action, and also sharing some information and resources that they might not even be aware of or know that they're eligible for.
Okay. Are there social support groups?
Yes, absolutely. There's different support groups across the state, so that's something else that we have in our database that we can share for families.
Okay. Do you do any at the Alliance? Any support groups?
Currently, we don't do any direct services other than our employment program.
Okay.
So there is a monthly group that the job seeker candidates enrolled in the Upbound employment program can participate in.
Okay.
But being a statewide organization, it is hard to provide that face-to-face interaction with our clientele.
I guess we should make sure everyone understands what autism spectrum disorder is and what that means, as far as we know what the word spectrum means. Can you explain that to us?
Yes, absolutely. So autism spectrum disorder, it's a neurological developmental disability, and it typically affects the first 3 years of development, and it may be characterized in areas such as communication difficulties. Some individuals who are more severely affected by autism may be nonverbal or have limited communication skills, or their social interactions and awareness. Also, there may be some repetitive or restrictive behaviors or interests, such as repeating certain phrases or only, identifying certain toys that they enjoy, as well as some sensory processing issues.
Okay, all right. I think as a parent, as your kid starts growing, I think that there's something there, and so it's good for those parents to contact you folks to at least rule out, any kind of issues along the spectrum. So how does the Autism Alliance assist individuals with autism and their families?
So outside of our My Navigator program, we also do have trainings and conferences in different regions across the state. There's our Caregiver Bootcamp, which is available to parents and caregivers who recently just had a diagnosis for their kiddo. So that does a deep dive into autism spectrum disorder, really helping answer any of their questions that the parents may have. And then when they leave from that day, they have a toolkit and a lot of resources to refer back to, and maybe some areas of what to expect as your child ages and grows through their schooling development or into adulthood.
Can you tell me more about the boot camp?
Yeah, so that it typically is run by our clinical specialist, who's a nurse practitioner, and other specialized navigators. We have a team of our specialized navigators are either in the areas of insurance, education, clinical, or community resources. So that is a free available boot camp for parents. And all of our conferences and trainings, we really strive to maintain a free program for these parents so that everyone can have access to it.
Yeah, that's a great barrier to break down for folks. Is that an all-day event?
Yep, the boot camp typically is on a Saturday, and it is from 8 to 4 typically, and we do target different regions, and they rotate throughout the year. So we just have upcoming trainings in 2020 in different regions across the state.
Okay, great. And what are some of the challenges that you see for individuals with autism and their families? What do you typically see?
So for children, it may be access to recommended therapies or early interventions. Insurance has come a long way the past 7 years with new laws, but we still see that not all insurance policies cover these recommended therapies. For adults, it may be some barriers with maintaining friendships or even having gainful employment. We also have heard and families have identified the significant need for adequate housing and direct support professionals. If they do have higher needs, parents too commonly are feeling very burdened with finding the right staffing and the right situation for their adult child. It may feel like once they hit a certain age, whether it's 18, 21, or 26, services may drop off.
Yeah.
So, and that is with autism spectrum disorder being a lifelong developmental disability, the needs don't go away.
Yeah.
So we do, at the Alliance, see that as an ongoing need for adults in providing those adequate services, but also with parents who have the very valid concern of who's going to care for my loved one once I'm gone.
Right, yeah, that's a big concern. And what should a parent or an individual, a loved one, do if they suspect that something might be challenging their loved one as far as with autism? Where should they go? What would be the steps that they would go through?
So it depends on their insurance coverage. If the adult individual does have Medicaid services, they're entitled to community mental health services in their county. So maybe it's for individual therapy or just helping get them engaged in community programs or skill building opportunities. So if they do feel like they need some more assistance, family members, if the individual is still living in their home, they should be entitled to respite care, which is giving the parents a brief intermittent break so that they can have some, keep up on their daily or their chores, or going out into the community, running errands. It gives them a brief break too.
Or taking a nap.
Oh yeah, recharging their energy, absolutely.
Yeah, that's great. I don't think we hear enough about respite programs with people with disabilities. And so I guess back to one part of my question is, what would I do if I thought my child might have autism or be on the spectrum? What would be my first step as a parent?
Okay, yeah, so I would say go to your pediatrician first. So that should be the primary center of where typically a pediatrician should be. Best practice is to administer an MCHAT screening either at 18 months or 24 months.
Okay.
And that should be for any child to make sure that they're maintaining their milestones in development.
Yeah.
And if the pediatrician does feel that they have some concerns after that MCHAT screening, they would then refer the family to further testing or evaluations. So from there, the parents could contact their insurance carrier and see what their recommended process is by their policy, or they can contact a navigator and we can get them on the right path. And so for an adult, if they are feeling like they need an evaluation or have some questions that they want answered, there's a lot of different assessments actually. So it really is identifying what the primary goal is first before you have the assessment done. So typically for adults, it may be a neuropsychological evaluation, either by a licensed psychologist or a neurologist.
Okay.
The most common standardized tool right now for evaluating autism is the ADOS testing, but best practice is still incorporating a medical component too. So you do want to have the comprehensive evaluation.
What kind of things would an individual see in these screenings that you're talking about for the child or the adult? And I understand they're different.
Yeah. So
what would they go through?
So it can vary. There would be the ADOS is a standardized test. So it is a psychologist is reviewing or looking into certain areas in their communication, their receptive back and forth communication skills, or identifying objects. So there may be some IQ testing behind that as well, and their speech development, and also looking at their development from the early stages of life as well. So it is, compounding all of these components together to create a report.
And what about the children? Is it just geared down more to what a child would comprehend?
Yeah, so there are different modules based on different development stages for these individuals.
All right, great. Why such a focus on intervention, on early intervention?
Yeah, so evidence shows that an early and accurate diagnosis for children and introducing them into intensive therapies does show the greatest growth and success outcomes. So we see very common that a majority, almost 90% of our individuals or children are enrolled in speech therapy to help work on their communication skills and their social skills. And that can be through the school system, so that can be in their individualized education plan, or also outpatient services as well. A lot of children are enrolled in occupational therapy to help understand some of their sensory processing needs and possibly their fine motor development. And also there's behavior intervention, which is another evidence-based program similar to the ABA, which is applied behavioral analysis. So that would be working on some skills and also maintaining and managing your behaviors. Okay,
so I see that being a standardized program in elementary school, early elementary, but is there, what kind of training from that early intervention would a child get, like in the preschool ages?
So from birth to 3, there's early on that children are entitled to. And so that would be either in a preschool setting or even at home. They would come and visit you and do an assessment, evaluate the child's development, and help provide them with some parent training or even some speech therapy services, whatever they would be recommending in that individualized education plan.
Okay. So they do those IEPs for even toddlers?
Yep, little kiddos.
Okay.
All the way to 26.
Oh, that's great. Carrie, tell me about the different services for adults with autism spectrum disorder.
Yeah, so depending on their interests, there are different social groups or skill building opportunities that they could be involved in, or vocational programs. And also, as I mentioned before, community mental health services, they are entitled to regardless of their age. So we've seen adults on the spectrum benefit from one-on-one therapy or even CLS. And so that's a service through community mental health. It's community living supports, and that would be helping them maintain their independence in their home or out in their community with an assigned staff member.
Okay, all right, that sounds great. How can people learn more about the Autism Alliance?
So we have a lot of information on our website. It's aaomi.org. And also we have a very active Facebook page, the Autism Alliance of Michigan. We're constantly sharing our upcoming events or articles. We do on our website also have our events page where different programs can plug their upcoming events that may be sensory friendly across the state. So that's a way to engage the community and share information of what's coming up too for families.
Okay. Do you think a lot of physicians know about you folks?
I would like to hope so.
Yeah.
But there's still a lot of work to be done. We've noticed.
Yeah. So you probably market to physicians and so forth, because I would think you'd be a valuable resource for pediatricians to have.
Absolutely.
And social workers that are working with younger folks. So how do you prefer that people get a hold of you at the Alliance?
So to reach a Navigator, they can call our Navigator line. It's operating Monday through Friday for an assigned Navigator to answer their calls. That's 877-463-2266 or 877-463-AAOM. We also have our email address. They can write us at navigator@aaomi.org. And also our webpage, there's a Contact Us portal.
Okay, all right. And what other services that you haven't talked about does the Alliance do besides the Navigator program? I know you talked briefly about some other things, but what else would you like to highlight on what the Alliance does?
We also have an employment program. It's called Upbound at Work, and that's not specific to autism. It's actually open to any disability. So people who may be interested in gaining some more job development skills or linking up with an assigned Upbound worker, they provide free resume reviews, interview coaching, and also sharing job postings that they may be qualified for. So that is a great program for, we've also expanded on that program too, and it's been an identified need based on our callers, but it is not specific to Michigan. We do have partnerships in different areas across the country now too for that program. We are continuously building and growing on that that department, so it may be individuals, and we've seen this as an identified need, that it may be someone on the spectrum who has a PhD but are really struggling to get an interview, so we can help share and work with employers as well, maintaining that relationship and training the employers and the employees on how to work with your colleague with autism. So that's something that we work with too in different employers.
That's great, great. So Kara, tell me about fundraising. What if someone would want to make a contribution to the Alliance?
Yeah, so we have our development team that's very active in our events and fundraisers, and you can also, you're more than welcome to send us a check if you are feeling generous.
Yeah.
So that can be sent to our address in Bingham Farms. If you want to find more information and get a hold of our development team, you can call our Navigator line again or look at our website. That's aaomi.org.
Okay, and how about a phone number again?
So our phone number is 877-463-2266 to get a hold of a Navigator, and then we can consult with our development team.
Okay, great. Anything else? Any other programs?
We also do have our safety training, so that is available. We've trained tens of thousands police officers and first responders across the state on how to identify autism in individuals in the community and help interact with them in the community safely.
So it's not misunderstood for something else, for bad behavior.
Absolutely.
Or something like that. So let's talk about events.
Yeah.
You had said that you do a ton of events, a ton of fundraisers. Let's talk about what those are. What are the next ones coming up?
Yeah, so our biggest event is typically our gala. So that is in April. It's April 18th, 2020, and that is held at the Motor City Casino. It is our largest fundraiser. We do a silent auction. We have a live band. It's a great way to engage with our community and our board of directors as well.
Yeah.
And then we do have every summer in July our Zoo Walk. So that's a fundraiser at the Detroit Zoo where families, it's the Hero Zoo Walk. So families and their little kiddos really get engaged and involved with fundraising, and it's a fun way to, and also a free opportunity to go see the zoo.
And when is that?
That is in July,
Okay.
the end of July.
Yeah. So what about other fundraisers or other events you had mentioned?
Yeah, you can, we constantly are doing different regional conferences. We have a conference in March, and we also will have one in the fall. So the one in March will be in Wayne County in Southeast Michigan. Those are for parents and caregivers. Even professionals as well are welcome to attend those conferences. It covers a lot of information. Typically there's a panel and also different breakout sessions that identify, with certain specific interests. Sometimes there's the child track or the adult track, so anyone who goes, depending on their child's age, are still receiving some valuable information.
Okay, all right. Well, Kara, this has been great information. I really appreciate your time today. Autism is a lifelong disability, and those with autism live a normal lifespan. This is why the Autism Alliance of Michigan is such a valuable resource for people living with autism in our community. Whether you see a difference in communication, behavior, or social interactions with one of your loved ones, we encourage you to contact your physician, social worker, or the Autism Alliance of Michigan, because the symptoms of autism often can be greatly reduced with intensive early intervention, often leading to higher quality of life. My thanks again to Kara Lay from the Autism Alliance of Michigan, and especially to you, our viewers. For the Ann Arbor Commission on Disability Issues, I'm Tom Hotlin. We hope to see you next time right here on Ann Arbor Inclusive.